AQA depth study at A level. Firstly, what is an in-depth study? So an in-depth study is the study of a historical development or change associated with primary evidence. So the keywords AQA wanted you to look out for are historical change, historical development and primary evidence.
So the specific AQA paper that we're going to look at focuses on 1945 to 1963 and nuclear weapons in this period. However, the broader topic looks all the way up until 1991. So we believe it's important that not only do you look at the depth, but you also look at the wider period and bring those into your answers.
For the revision of keywords, it may be useful to make a vocab list at the back of your workbook. The AQA textbooks are really useful for this as well because throughout the book, they list the keywords that you need for the topic. Even if you just take 5-10 minutes a night just to recap the vocabulary that you've written down, it's a really effective way of consolidating your knowledge. But further beyond vocabulary and keywords and concepts is the revision of key people and key events. A really effective way of testing yourself on this is using websites such as Quizlet or websites that generate flashcards just to really get to grips with it. Once you're starting to feel comfortable with this, you may start to use more visual learning aids such as mind maps just to really consolidate your knowledge further.
Revising in this way can help you to conceptualise across an entire period that may be necessary to get a high mark answer. So for example, if we look at this question from June 2017, we look at how effective was the nuclear arms race in restraining the aggression of the superpowers in the years 1955 to 1963. And if you revised in some of these ways where you look at the key words, events and people, it will immediately become clear that between 1955 and 1963 we have some key dates. In 1962 we have the Cuban Missile Crisis. In 1957 to 58 we have the US and the USSR testing the first ICBMs. And also, you'll be able to know that the key leaders in this time were Khrushchev and JFK. So keeping this in your mind at all times when answering these questions is a really crucial revision technique.
So in consideration with the techniques that we were looking at earlier, you can apply this to a source question. So the key skill when taking apart the source question is how you analyse it, and that's what AQA are looking for AO2. So from the mark scheme, the key skills to succeed in doing this is having a really good understanding of the source, understanding the value of the source, having a well substantiated conclusion and having a really good understanding of your context. So if we're to look at source A specifically, we're going to take it apart by looking at the provenance on the term. So you need to have a knowledge of events. So source A is a television broadcast from Kennedy addressed to the whole US nation, and so has value for showing the official US line on Berlin, which the US wanted the USSR to understand and the US public to support. We need to have a knowledge of period. The date is significant as it is after the Vienna summit, and so the source is of value for showing the degree of tension that existed at this time. We need to have a knowledge of people. The tone is one of defiance from JFK, that the US will not be pushed out of Berlin, which again is of value for showing the stance that Kennedy now has towards the Soviets. We can then look at the content and argument, so we need to have a knowledge of events. Kennedy stresses the importance of West Berlin as a symbol of freedom. The emphasis on freedom is to contrast the situation in West Berlin with a totalitarian system which had been established in East Germany and East Berlin under Walter Ulbricht. Kennedy mentions that Berlin is an escape hatch for refugees. Based on the revision techniques we discussed earlier, we can place key knowledge here. For example, this is a reference to the huge number of refugees that were leaving East Germany via Berlin. By June 1961, 2,000 refugees a day were fleeing from east to west, making the situation untenable for East Germany. We need to have a knowledge of key characters. Kennedy blames the Soviet Union for the tension existing in Berlin. Khrushchev had repeatedly threatened the West over Berlin and had bullied Kennedy at the Vienna summit over this issue, threatening war. So we need to now make a judgment. According to AQA, when comparing source A and source B, any supported argument as to relative value should be fully rewarded. Any number of answers may be taken as long as the argument is supported and well considered. For example, by saying the strength of rhetoric and the number of accusations made in each source highlight the importance of Berlin for raising tensions to a dangerous level, and then backwards with examples.